Let's kick off then with your views on the corporate social credit system. How much of a challenge is it for corporations operating here, foreign businesses, and how are they adjusting?
Tom, thank you for that, and it's great to be here. I mean, the China credit social system is something that we on the ground here have been looking at for the last year or more, and it's something that businesses here are genuinely concerned about and watching. To the question of, is this a negative thing? Is it a positive thing? It's too early to tell. I mean, the intent of it is genuinely to enhance the operating system here, bring greater predictability. The digitalization of so much of the economy has been running for a long time now, and this is an amalgamation of so much of that. Now, there's clearly concerns that have been raised over potential misuse of the system. What I can say is that so far we have not heard from members of the British Chamber of Commerce evidence of that. And we're not picking that up either from our sentiment survey that you just mentioned either. I mean, what we are hearing is actually greater confidence from the business community at the moment in the broader environment in China, with many companies actually looking to increase their investment, even in the face of these types of issues that you're asking about right now. So we see that as actually a sort of a testament that at the moment it is not negatively impacting. I would just close by saying that I think this is a very important topic. Companies need to be paying attention to it if they have operations within the Chinese mainland, because it is something that will impact them going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. St. John, you talk about the survey. It was published earlier this week, and you mentioned the fact that British companies are looking to invest more heavily in the Chinese market. That's despite what I took away from this survey was deep frustration as well from some of your members, whether it's on the foreign investment law, where almost half said that it's having no positive impact. Challenges still around market barriers. In fact, no positive change there. It remained unchanged or has even worsened the environment on that fact. The market opening moves that China keeps touting. And again, many of your members saying that, look, simply not enough has been done on this front. How deep is that frustration?
I would say that it's two sides to it. Let me first start by saying that I actually look at this data by seeing how optimistic people are. So when we've asked people, what do you think of 2021? What's going to be next year? There's a high degree of optimism. Now, it was about 49%. It is down year on year, but I mean, we are coming off of a year of a global pandemic. And that pandemic has clearly had an impact upon the business community here. We've seen SMEs and particularly hard hit coming through that. But again, looking ahead, that was 49% said optimistic. Those that had a neutral stance was still pretty high. And it was the pessimistic side was about 7%. So it was very, very small. Now, when you ask them, were they going to intend to increase their investment next year? Again, very high numbers given the situation we're in. And I think that, again, speaks to the overall confidence. But that doesn't mean, as you touched upon, that there aren't challenges. When we ask companies to rank the top challenges, the top 3 challenges have not changed since last year. That's the cybersecurity, IT restrictions, accessing and moving company finances, and it's the competition with the SOE sector. So that gives us concern that they remain the top 3 concerns of British business here. But it's also important to put it into context that we've been running this for multiple years now. And below that 3rd place, we have seen a movement in things which indicate that actions that the government has taken is coming through in certain areas. 3 years ago, as an example, IP was, I think, the 2nd factor there. It dropped to the 12th position last year, 11th this year. We saw the obtaining business licenses, the 3rd issue of greatest concern 3 years ago, and that dropped down into the bottom end of the top 10 list last year, and it still remains down there. So we are seeing movement, and this is because whether it's our own organization, members themselves, and broader business activities, bringing these issues to the fore, and we are seeing change. Those top 3, we are very focused upon and wanting to address them.
Yeah, St. John, hoping you could clarify also something for us. And we're flashing some of the graphics based on your survey on our screens here. So I'm looking at page 10. The reasons for things being better and also things being worse for business are both economic factors as I guess the biggest parts of the survey. Could you clarify that for us? How could they be both good and bad?
I'll admit I don't have page 10 in front of me, but this is everything is. It has both these contrasts in what we're looking at. So there are these economic challenges, of course. As I say, the pandemic has genuinely had challenges. I think, and you'll see this in the numbers that you talk about, which is that quarter by quarter, the local economy has improved. But we are seeing the continued challenges on the global uncertainty. And that's what's coming through in a lot of, I mean, both in the data, but also in conversations with members, which is that uncertainty on the global stage is really weighing down on companies that operate on the ground here in China. Now, we've seen a high degree of certainty returning within the mainland market over the last 3-4 months, end of summer onwards, in relation to the pandemic in particular. But it is far from over in that, and we need to be very vigilant with that. But global certainty, as that returns, will see a knock-on effect domestically as well.
Now, St. John, you mentioned a lot of your members do want to expand next year. Talk to us, what are you hearing in terms of hiring? We just want to get a sense of the employment situation, obviously, in China overall. And would the preference be expats over locals? Just give us a broad sense of what you think might happen.
So it's a great question, and I think we can look at the economics that companies intend to invest, but certainly at the domestic level, what does that mean for genuine employment and the knock-on effect there? And we do ask members, as they look to the year ahead, how many employees do they expect to expand their headcount by? And I think on average, it's coming around about 11, 12 employees per British company here, which is putting that investment into real terms. Now, what type of talent are companies looking for? We didn't ask that specifically as to what type of talent, but I think it is looking for a diverse set of talent that comes into it. And I would imagine that it is going to be more skewed onto a strong a locally equipped population here. Now, that may also mean foreign nationals that have built their careers on the ground here, but this is in China for many businesses. So we would expect it to come through to benefit the local employment community.
St. John, just very quickly, last question.
Yes.
Have the soured UK-China relations impacted businesses on the ground here?
I would say largely no, and we don't see that coming through strongly inside the latest survey. We do ask that question. It is clear that there is concern over it, and people are watching. People want stability on that. We see greater SMEs wanting clarity on the position of that. But we also see, this is sort of from operating on the ground here, genuine positive engagement between Chinese counterparts, whether that's business, government, and the British community here. And we take that for a sign that there can be positions where we have different opinions nation to nation, but there's a pragmatism as well that we see on the ground here as well, with British businesses continuing to operate and grow.